In this age, men chase, beg, and plead for a woman's affection, only to be discarded like pawns in a game they do not understand. But today, you shall learn a higher strategy, the art of making a woman sexually obsessed with you, without ever chasing her. For the problem is simple: most men surrender their power, and thus they become disposable. Yet a wise man, a Machiavellian man, bends desire itself to serve him, power of presence and mystery. In the game of desire, most men commit the same fatal mistake. They make themselves too available, too eager, too desperate to be seen. They believe that by chasing, by declaring constant attention, they will earn affection. But in truth, the more they reveal themselves, the less valuable they become. For presence without scarcity is nothing more than noise, and noise is easily ignored. If you wish to make a woman sexually obsessed over you, you must first learn the ancient art of mystery, the kind that kings, philosophers, and conquerors have used throughout history. The Machiavellian man does not throw himself at the feet of beauty. Instead, he cloaks himself in silence, allowing the unknown to work as his greatest weapon. The unknown is magnetic. It pulls the imagination, it stirs curiosity, it awakens hunger. A woman does not obsess over what she already possesses. She obsesses over what she cannot fully grasp. Consider this: when a man floods her with constant words, messages, and confessions, she becomes numb to his presence. His value collapses, his image becomes ordinary. But when a man restrains himself, when he offers only glimpses of his world, he becomes like a locked chest, shimmering with treasure yet sealed. She wonders what lies inside, and her mind begins to fill the silence with fantasies. The less you reveal, the more she creates, and the more she creates, the deeper she falls into obsession. Presence, when wielded correctly, is not about quantity. It is about intensity. You do not need to always be around her, but when you are, your presence must dominate the space. A calm confidence, a gaze that does not tremble, a voice that does not beg. These things linger in memory long after you depart. It is better to see her for 5 minutes and leave her shaken, than to spend 5 hours at her side, giving her no reason to think of you once you are gone. Remember this: your goal is not to please her in the moment, but to occupy her mind in your absence. Mystery is not created by accident. It is a deliberate performance. The Machiavellian man knows when to speak and when to withhold, when to offer a taste and when to close the curtain. He does not answer every question. He does not reveal every thought. He does not make himself a book that can be read in one sitting. Instead, he becomes a scripture, layered, complex, demanding time and devotion to be understood. And a woman will not rest until she has deciphered him. Think of the greatest stories ever told, the myths, the legends. They endure not because they are simple, but because they are layered in mystery. They invite endless interpretations. In the same way, your persona must become mythic. Let her sense that there is more to you than she has yet seen. Let her believe that you contain depths untouched by others. Every unanswered question about you is a seed planted in her mind, and that seed will grow until it consumes her thoughts. But take caution. Mystery is not the same as coldness. To be mysterious is not to be lifeless. It is not to vanish entirely. Absence can build desire, but too much absence breeds forgetfulness. You must balance closeness with withdrawal, light with shadow. Appear just enough to ignite her senses, then retreat before the fire burns out. Speak just enough to draw her deeper, then let silence sharpen her longing. Your presence must be like the tide, advancing, retreating, but always undeniable. And understand this truth: the woman's mind is the true battlefield. If she sees you too often, if she knows every detail of your day, her imagination dies. But if she only sees fragments, only hears whispers, only receives pieces of your world, then her mind begins to labor. She will ask herself, who is he with? What is he doing? Why does he not reveal more? Why does he treat his attention like a kingdom's treasure? These questions are not idle, they are chains. And the more questions she asks, the deeper she entangles herself. A man of mystery is not just desired, he is feared. For she knows he cannot be easily won, and what cannot be easily won becomes infinitely valuable. You must let her feel that she is in pursuit, that she is reaching for something just beyond her grasp. This is how obsession is born, not by giving her everything, but by giving her just enough to crave the rest. When she lies awake at night, it will not be the man who texted her 20 times that fills her thoughts. It will be the man who left her with silence, who departed with unanswered questions, who spoke as though he carried secrets meant for no one else. That man becomes unforgettable, for he is not merely present, he is a presence, and presence, when shrouded in mystery, is the most intoxicating force a man can wield. If you wish to make a woman sexually obsessed over you, understand this: her body follows her mind, and her mind follows her emotions. Most men attempt to seduce through surface attraction, gifts, compliments, endless flattery. But these are the weapons of the weak, and the weak are forgotten. The Machiavellian man does not chase the surface, he penetrates the emotional core. For once a woman feels that you understand her deeper desires, she will bind herself to you, not out of choice but out of compulsion. Desire is not created by accident, it is cultivated, molded and shaped like clay in the hands of the cunning. To manipulate a woman's emotions is to awaken forces inside her that she cannot control. Every woman, no matter how guarded, carries hidden longings, unspoken fantasies, buried insecurities, secret fears. These are the levers of power, and he who discovers them gains control not just of her affection, but of her obsession. But do not ask her directly, for words can be deceiving. A woman will never confess her truest cravings openly, for to reveal them would make her vulnerable. Instead, you must observe. Watch how her eyes linger when a certain topic arises, how her breath changes when you mention power, danger, or intimacy. Study the small shifts in her tone when she speaks of what she claims to want. The tongue may lie, but the body always betrays the truth. And once you uncover her truth, you possess the map to her desire. Understand this distinction: most men give women what they say they want. The wise man gives them what they secretly crave, even if they never dared to articulate it. Perhaps she longs for protection while pretending to be independent. Perhaps she yearns for dominance while appearing in control. Perhaps she craves adventure while pretending to love stability. When you become the answer to the need she hides, you do not compete with other men. You eclipse them entirely. The act of emotional manipulation is not about pleasing her. It is about destabilizing her. If she feels entirely secure with you, she will take you for granted. If she feels entirely uncertain, she will flee. But if she feels a precise balance between comfort and tension, her emotions will turn into obsession. Give her warmth, but not always. Give her attention, but in fragments. Give her intimacy, but hold back at the peak. This rhythm of reward and denial plants chaos in her heart, and that chaos transforms into desire. Imagine her mind as a pendulum swinging between extremes. When you give her too much certainty, the pendulum stops, and she grows bored. When you give her too much distance, the pendulum breaks, and she loses interest. But when you control the swing, when you push her toward longing, then pull her back to fulfillment, then leave her reaching again, you create motion that never ends. She will not know peace, for her emotions will not rest, and this unrest is what binds her to you. Do not think of manipulation as cruelty, for it is not cruelty that drives obsession, it is mastery. A ruler does not show mercy in every act, yet his people follow him because he commands their respect and their fear. In the same way, a woman will not obsess over the man who bows before her. She will obsess over the man who makes her feel what no one else dares to make her feel. The sweetness of longing, the sharpness of denial, the fire of fulfillment, and the hunger that follows once more, this is the cycle that enslaves her emotions. You must also learn the art of contrast. Do not be predictable, for predictability is the death of desire. One moment, let her feel your presence deeply, the intensity of your gaze, the gravity of your touch. The next moment, withdraw, leaving her adrift in silence. One night, give her a taste of closeness that convinces her she has you. The next day, behave as if you are untouchable once again. This unpredictable rhythm creates tension, and tension is the root of obsession. A woman will think endlessly about the man she cannot predict, for every moment with him feels alive with uncertainty. The greatest weapon you possess is not what you give, but what you withhold. She will remember the kiss you never finished, the touch you pulled away from, the words you almost said but left unsaid. These fragments linger far longer than full satisfaction, for the human mind is wired to complete unfinished patterns. When you leave her emotionally unsatisfied, her imagination becomes your servant. She will replay the moment. She will fantasize about its completion, and she will seek you again and again, not for who you are, but for the fire you ignite in her when she is near. Above all, remember that true emotional manipulation is invisible. She must never feel that you are orchestrating her desire. To her, it must feel natural, inevitable, as if her obsession was born from within rather than imposed from without. This illusion is your shield, for a woman who feels manipulated may rebel, but a woman who feels addicted cannot escape. An addiction is the purest form of power. A woman sexually obsessed is not bound by logic, nor by reason, nor by will. She is bound by emotion, by desire, by the pull of forces she cannot name. The Machiavellian man is not her lover in her mind. He is her tormentor and her salvation, her pain and her remedy, her question and her answer. To manipulate her emotions is to make yourself indispensable to her soul. She will not simply want you. She will need you, crave you, hunger for you have made yourself the architect of her desire. Your power is not maintained by giving endlessly, but by controlling what is given. And when a woman does not become obsessed because you shower her with affection at every turn, she becomes obsessed when your affection is scarce, unpredictable, and timed with precision. This is the art of reward and withholding, a tactic older than empires, and just as effective in matters of desire as in matters of war. For what is rare becomes precious, and what is constant becomes worthless. Most men, when they feel the slightest interest from a woman, rush to give her everything they can. Endless compliments, constant attention, unbroken availability. They believe this generosity will win her heart, but in truth, it weakens them. The moment a woman feels she can have you whenever she desires, she no longer desires you at all. Abundance breeds contempt, scarcity breeds value, and so the wise man does not give freely, he gives sparingly, and in doses that leave her restless for more. Understand this desire is never satisfied by fulfillment, only intensified by interruption. When you give her all she wants, the game ends, and with it her obsession. But when you grant her only fragments, when you begin to give and then pull away, when you let her taste but not devour, you create a hunger that multiplies with every denial. Her thoughts will circle endlessly around what she almost but could not keep. This is not cruelty, it is strategy. The same strategy rulers use to keep their subjects loyal, the same strategy merchants use to drive demand. What is withheld becomes irresistible. The art of withholding is not about rejection, it is about rhythm. Give her enough to spark hope, then retreat before she feels satisfied. Touch her hand but let the moment end too quickly. Hold her gaze but look away before she can claim victory. Speak with intensity but stop before she hears the words she longs for. These interruptions, these half-fulfilled moments, leave her chasing completion. She will return not because you gave her everything, but because you gave her just enough to awaken her need. Rewards, when used with precision, become powerful reinforcements. Do not give them at her command, for then you are her servant. Give them when she least expects, when she has worked for them, when she has endured the sting of your absence or your silence. In this way, you train her emotions to respond to your rhythm. She begins to see your affection not as a given, but as a prize. And a prize must be earned, guarded, and cherished. By making your presence a privilege rather than a guarantee, you elevate yourself from an option to an obsession. Think of how gamblers become enslaved by the game. It is not because they always win, but because they win sometimes unpredictably, after long stretches of loss. This uncertainty makes the reward intoxicating. So too must you apply this principle to your dealings with a woman. If she knows exactly when you will give her attention, she will grow numb. But if she cannot predict it, if she never knows whether today she will be ignored or indulge, her emotions will swing violently between despair and euphoria. This volatility breeds attachment far stronger than steady affection ever could. There is a dangerous mistake many men make. They believe that once intimacy is achieved, their role is complete. They believe they must now maintain closeness by giving more and more of themselves. But this floods the senses, dulls the excitement, and leaves nothing left to crave. The Machiavellian man understands that intimacy must be rationed, not surrendered. Give her moments that electrify, then withdraw. Make her body burn, then let her mind suffer in the silence that follows. By withholding completion, you turn passion into obsession, for the imagination continues the work long after the body rests. The art of withholding also extends beyond physical desire. Withhold information, withhold certainty, withhold your full attention. Let her wonder what you are doing when you are not with her. Let her question what occupies your mind when you grow quiet. Do not hand her your entire being on a silver plate, for once you are fully known, you are no longer pursued. Keep parts of yourself hidden, just beyond her grasp, so that she must always reach, always chase, always hunger for more than she possesses. Rewards, when given, must strike with precision. They must arrive at the peak of her frustration, when she doubts your affection most. In that moment, a single word of tenderness, a glance of approval, a sudden touch can overwhelm her senses. The sweetness of the reward is magnified by the bitterness that preceded it. This is the secret of rulers who inspire loyalty even after cruelty. They know when to grant mercy, and the mercy feels divine only because it followed suffering. So too, when you withhold and then reward, your affection becomes not ordinary, but extraordinary. Above all, this strategy demands discipline. The weak man cannot resist the urge to give when she demands. He fears her displeasure, and so he surrenders his power. But the Machiavellian man thrives in her frustration, for he knows it builds the very chains that bind her to him. He is not swayed by her pleas, her anger, or her attempts at manipulation. He remains in control, deciding when to open the gates and when to keep them sealed. This control is what sets him apart from all others she has known. When you master the art of strategic reward and withholding, you no longer compete for her attention, she competes for yours. You no longer pursue her, she pursues you. And her obsession grows not because you gave her everything, but because you denied her enough to make her crave you endlessly. Many men believe conquest lies in the body. They think that once they touch her skin, once they taste her lips, once they enter her bed, they have achieved victory. But such triumphs are fleeting, shallow, and fragile. The body is easily conquered and just as easily forgotten. If you wish not merely to win a woman but to enslave her thoughts, you must dominate not her flesh but her mind. For the mind does not tire as the body does. The mind can replay, repeat, and relive the fire of obsession endlessly. And once you live inside her mind, you need not chase her body, it will follow willingly, like a shadow bound to the sun. Understand this truth. The strongest desire is not physical, it is psychological. A woman may give her body to many, but she reserves her mind for the few who invade it. She may surrender to a man's touch in the moment, but she will surrender her thoughts only to the one who lingers after the moment has passed. That is the man she cannot escape, the man she dreams of, the man she thinks about when she is alone. This is the throne you must seize, the battlefield you must dominate. But how does one conquer the mind? Through presence, through words, through gestures that echo louder than fleshly pleasure. A single look, if delivered with precision, can live in her memory longer than an hour of physical intimacy. A single phrase spoken with weight and mystery can haunt her more than the touch of 1,000 hands. Your goal is not to be remembered for what you did to her body, but for what you did to her imagination. Leave her questioning, leave her craving, leave her uncertain, and she will return again and again to seek resolution that never arrives. The Machiavellian man understands that desire is sustained by tension. If you satisfy every longing at once, you release her from your hold. But if you give her just enough to awaken her, then retreat, her mind will do the rest. She will replay the moment endlessly. She will wonder what might have been if you had stayed, what more you could have given if you had not pulled away. That longing becomes her prison, and you are its warden. By denying her completion, you grant her imagination power to enslave her more effectively than your hands ever could. Words are a weapon too easily underestimated. A careless compliment dies in her ears. But a carefully crafted sentence, laced with suggestion, mystery, or double meaning, will not leave her mind. Speak less, but let your words carry weight. Do not flatter her as common men do. Instead, let your words pierce her pride, stir her insecurities, or hint at secrets she has not yet uncovered. Make her wonder what you truly meant. Did you admire her? Did you mock her? Did you expose something hidden in her? Let her wrestle with your meaning long after your lips have gone silent. This is how a phrase becomes a seed, and that seed grows into obsession. Domination of the mind is not only about what you say, but about what you withhold. Silence is more powerful than constant chatter. When you vanish, when you do not reply, when you allow days to pass without offering her the comfort of your voice, her imagination fills the void. Silence is never empty. In your absence, she begins to wonder, is he with another? Has he lost interest? Did I anger him? What does he think of me now? Her thoughts spin into chaos, and in that chaos you reign supreme. The man who can make her obsess in silence holds greater power than the one who satisfies her body in the moment. But to dominate the mind, you must also control the frame. She must never feel she holds power over your emotions, for if she does, you are no longer the one in control. Show her glimpses of your affection, but never let her see you enslaved by it. Maintain the image of a man who could walk away at any moment, who values himself above all else, who cannot be broken by her beauty or her approval. This unshakable composure plants both fear and fascination in her mind. She will crave to break through your armor, to know what lies beneath, to be the one who finally conquers the unconquerable. And in her attempt, she will chain herself to you more tightly than if you had surrendered willingly. Understand also that to hold a woman's mind is to bind her emotions to highs and lows. The body responds to touch, but the mind responds to contrast. One day she must feel warmth and closeness, the next day coldness and distance. One moment she must feel seen and desired, the next she must feel uncertainty and doubt. These extremes will stretch her emotions until she can no longer live without you, for her world becomes defined by how you make her feel. And when her emotional stability rests entirely in your hands, you do not need to chase her. She will chase you endlessly, desperate to restore the balance you deliberately disrupted. To dominate the mind is also to become unforgettable. Any man can impress her with wealth, with charm, with fleeting pleasure, but such impressions fade. To remain in her memory, you must become the riddle she cannot solve, the fire she cannot extinguish, the storm she cannot predict. Every encounter with you must end with questions, not answers. Every silence must echo louder than words. Every touch must awaken more hunger than it satisfies. In this way, her mind will replay you in endless cycles, unable to escape your shadow. The Machiavellian man does not compete with other men for her attention. He does not fear rivals, for no rival matters once he has captured her mind. Another man may win her body for a night, but you will occupy her thoughts for a lifetime. She may lie beside another, but in her mind, she will still be reaching for you. That is true dominance. Not possession of her body, but control over her inner world. The kingdom where obsession is born and where no other man can dethrone you.